Good morning and welcome to Equity Story Trade Watch, Monday, the 4th of July. Lots to talk through. There's a few announcements. Friday was not a bad day in America. So we've got a bit of a positive day today on the markets. Let's see how it goes. But remember, tomorrow we've got a big news of the interest rates here in Australia from RBA. So presumably there's going to be some rises and how the market reacts, we won't know until tomorrow. Before I go on to look at some stocks, we've got the disclaimer in front of us from Equity Story. Basically, talking about everything that we mentioned today is about general advice, not personal. So let's get on with it. And we've got some stories to go. And we'll also talk through some Einsteins, which actually, interesting enough, Dave hasn't put any hot stocks in there, thinking that it's just the market's a little bit difficult at the moment. There's nothing that's really too hot. So I can understand, no hot stocks today, but there's some interesting little buy signals. So we'll go through them in a moment. Let's start with some actual announcements. So I'm going to change the screen and look at some of these this morning announcements from on the market, some of the stocks that we actually follow. And we've got first one off the rank is CLA. So this is an interesting announcement because I suppose when you see it at face value, you go, oh my God, this is incredible, incredible stuff. So I suppose you need to go through the whole thing to understand exactly what's going on. Because if you just look at the actual initial result, it is excellent, right? 611 meters, as you can see, and I'm going to just open an announcement so you can have a look for yourself. You've got 611 meters at 1.39 copper and 0.7 gold. And you think to yourself, this is fantastic. And it is fantastic. However, in the context of things, you go through, it's actually info result. This is in Philippines. Philippines, not my favorite area to mine in. There's been a lot of, unfortunately, problems with actual mining itself. So it's a pretty hard jurisdiction to do anything. But anyway, you've got CLA, who's got already a resource out there, and they're just drilling more just to see if they can get some more higher grade type hits. And they have. Yes, it's very, very impressive. But like I said, if you look at here in this resource, they've actually pretty much drilled right through where the previous holes were. So it should not be a surprise. It is a nice hole, but it should not be super, super surprising. So for me, I'm staying away. All right, let's go to the next one, RUL. And this is a little tech stock, which is actually going not too badly. It's one of the better ones out there. And actually what we'll do as well, I'm going to go back to CLA in a second. We're actually going to have a look at the charts as well. But let's go through RUL first of all, and we'll go to the charts. So they've come up with an update on the software sales. And again, let's have a look through that. So here, it's another little upgrade, I suppose you can call it, or an update that they've got more revenues with time. And this is a pretty quick one because I think the last one they've had was late June, and now in July, more sales. So they're going quite well. They're in the mining space, which is, I suppose, still going fairly well. But, as most tech stocks are getting absolutely hammered at the moment, it's just difficult to really find conviction that this is going to be the story that's going to jump up significantly. However, it's on my list. It's something that I'm going to be looking for to maybe buy when things start to settle down. So it's on top of my, well, not on top of this, but it's on the list there to have a look through in the next few months to see if we can actually get some for the future. Now, just talking about the actual markets today, as you can see, you've got a fairly nice jump today on most of the stocks that were actually sold off. So it's in the tech space, and they've had some significant jumps. You can see, I don't know, let's have a look at Airtasker, which has been really smashed. Nitro, another one. Zip, really dog that's been jumping. So it's bottom fishing today by the looks of things. I'd say for myself, it might have a little bit of a jump over the next couple of days. But again, I'll probably be selling into the strength instead of buying into the strength at this stage. Things can change, of course, in not too distant future, but I'd be looking to possibly just still be cautious and on the sidelines here. The other thing we're just noticing today was, first of all, the commodity price is still coming off. So if you are in those commodity type stocks, your BHPs, S32s, even the oil stocks that are getting a little bit under pressure. So I'd say the biggest fear over the next 3 or 4 weeks, which is the reporting season, would be the costs rising. So we've got inflation, And unfortunately, maybe what we're going to see is not great news on the inflation front, where the costs are rising, maybe the margins are getting lower, and with the come down of the commodity prices, there might be some surprises on the downside. So I am really cautious. If I've got too much exposure to that sector, maybe it's time to have a look at your portfolio. AUD has gone down to 68 cents now. So there's two positive and a negative with that. With the positive, it could help our economy, of course, with exports and so on, but it probably won't help with inflation here in Australia either. So it's a double-edged sword for me, AUD, but some companies that are reporting in US dollars could possibly do better than we expect. So watch for that. Again, it could change any time. Right now, it is going down. So I expect with the interest rates tomorrow, I expect them to go up. I think the RBA probably, I think consensus is about 50 basis points. So that's going to take it up over 1%. And that's probably going to put more pressure on the real estate markets and companies that possibly have got debt on their books, which is their REITs and so on. So this is what, I'm thinking what's going to happen over the next few weeks. Inflation, interest rate rises, we are going to go through a period of volatility. So let's go back to the companies in question. So I'm just going to go now to the charting just to see what the chart's like. So CLA, let's start off with that one because that's the first one we mentioned. Like I said, I'm not too fast on it because I think it's just something that we should have known that's going to happen anyway with the drilling. It's up 50%, I know. FOMO coming through, yeah, okay, but it's not for me. I think it's just a bit of risk in there and I'd probably be leaving it alone. So let's have a look at that. What it looks like on the charts. And like I said, it's past for me. Oh, can't even see it. It's so far away. Let's go to the daily. Maybe that will give us a bit more of an idea. If it works at all. Here we go. So obviously because so down, it is a little penny punt. As you can see, it's still below past for me, past the trend lines. So let's have a look at RUL, which is, I think, doing a little bit better chart-wise. So it's something that definitely should go on your watch list. And you can see it's still below. So that, like I said, it's not, we wouldn't be getting in that right now because it's not trending, but it's something to think about maybe in the next, not too distant future when things start to settle down. So let's have a look at the next one. We've got Bub, and I'm going to go straight to the chart first before we go through the announcement itself. And Bub has been coming up with good announcement after good announcement after good announcement. However, as you can see on the chart, it just hasn't been given it enough momentum to push it higher. So there's a bit of resistance around that 65 to 70 cents. Maybe if they keep coming up with those positive announcements, maybe the flood of good announcements finally will push it through and maybe we'll have a bit of a run towards 80 cents. But at the moment, it is still just not quite there yet, is it? Maybe give it another till the end of the week and see where it's at. But, at least they've been coming up with good announcements, so that's good. It's on the daily, it's above the trend line, which is not too bad. And maybe on the weekly, let's have a look where it's at. And you can see it's holding that. So there's some good news in there, but would I trade it? Not at the moment. Let's go to the actual next one, and that is SLX. This is one of the better looking charts for sure at the moment. So SLX, it's in, say, uranium technology space. It's been going extremely well. Another announcement today. So this is actually pushing through extremely strongly now, 6% up. For me, again, I know it's bullish. It's gone so far from the trend lines that for me, I think the easy money has been made. You probably would have been buying it around here, not around here. So for me, possibly a pass. It doesn't make any money yet, right? It's just technology, interesting story. If you are going to play it really tight, maybe even use it daily, right? If you're buying there, maybe you want to set your stop somewhere below 210, somewhere around there. I know there's a $2 as a natural support, but you want to probably keep it even tighter than that. But like I said, that's probably too much risk for me in this, but the chart looks good. So if you're in this, just move your stop loss. If you're not in this, yeah, pass again. Let's go to VNT. And look, a new one, I suppose I haven't been talked too much about, but it's a good little story. It's in an infrastructure play. It's above trend lines. Would I be excited getting in? No, but at least I've got a story that's above the trend line. So I'm still interested in a way, right? It's a company that's got revenues and I believe profits. So let's have a look at that on the actual fundamental side of things. So as you can see, Ventia, so it's not a small company. It's 2 billion market cap. It's something that possibly could do quite well in a terrible market because it's infrastructure. And, we've talked about last week about stocks that, what ones are going to outperform the market. And we've talked about infrastructure. We've talked about some other space that possibly can do quite well. So this could fall into that category. I'm going to have a little bit more look into it to see exactly where it's at, see if it's actually makes sense from our point of view, where it does tick enough boxes for us to invest, but not too bad. Let's move on to the next one. And this one is one of our dividend stocks. So good news today, I think. For me, Suncorp looks like definitely a hold still. And I like this insurance space because in a market of rising interest rates, and of course, insurers have got a lot of cash to play with or instruments to play with when they get the money from premiums that people pay. They've got to invest it somewhere. So they've got lots of different instruments they can use, but they've got a lot of cash too. So interest rate rises, you've got instruments that are probably getting more attractive with interest coming back to Suncorps and QBEs and so on. So for me, not a bad play at all. Very, very good dividends, you can see, at 8.2. And if I look at the chart, let's go have a look at the chart. It is something I'm very happy with today's announcement. I'm thinking, yep. The added bonus, of course, for Suncorp right now is you're looking at the merger of the bank. Maybe that's going to be a positive. We've seen a lot of positive talk about the mergers recently. So for me, certainly something I'd be fairly interested in as a hold. So if you look at that, I mean, normally with dividend stock, we'll put it on a monthly. It's just trending below on the weekly, but on the monthly, it's still holding okay-ish. So long term, let's go back to 5 years. Long term, looking at fairly steady type scenario with nice dividends. So for me, definitely decent. Definitely want to look for if you're looking for some income and steady income. So yep, I'll take a look at that one. All right, I think that's the announcements this morning. What we're going to have a look at now is the actual buy signals, which is quite interesting. Pretty difficult market. There were some nice little buy signals that I thought, okay, well, let's have a look at them. And again, defensives, right? So staples, you've got EDV. Let's have a look at that one. So if you are looking, again, for defensive stocks are going to do better than others. Your staples, your infrastructure plays, like we said with VNT, they're going to do well. I mean, on the monthly, Endeavour looks incredible. So let's look at the actual weekly, because that's where the buy signal comes in. And as you can see, of course, that was last week. That was a buy signal. So it's going on with it a little bit. So that looks pretty good. That's up 11 cents. So let's see where it actually pushes from here on to the end of the week. And hopefully we can make some money on this. There's a little bit of resistance around that 780, 790. But generally speaking, like I said, it should have a little bit of support. But that's one that looks pretty good. The other one's Coles. Let's have a look at that one. So this staples, food, we got to eat. There's not much argument about that. It is slightly down today, but again, it's got a nice buy signal in there. It's probably, I'm thinking, target that's $19 potentially, 18, 19, somewhere around there. But again, fairly steady. You're going to get some dividends out of this. So dividend stock, you've got a nice chart to boot, and it should do fairly well over the next 3 to 6 months. Next one, which is probably one of my favorites, and I'm going to go straight to AMD. And this is a small company, but for me, I really like it because it's got nice growth and it's been delivering extremely well over the last, they've only been listed for a short period of time, I think since late 2020. No, sorry, it wasn't 2020. It was, probably about a year or so. And you can see they've been doing quite well. There's a nice buy signal there. Can you go on with it is the question. I think maybe, again, there's a bit of resistance around 280, maybe $3. But if you're holding this, you're probably going, okay, I'm going to hold. If you're in it, you can maybe have a little punt on this. And just follow that normal CTM type scenarios. Last one to have a look at the buy signals, another big one. So I'm going to mention it, even though maybe it's not my favorite, maybe it's a little bit expensive, but it is going very, very well. And you can't argue with that. And the chart looks really, really good. Then CPU, computer share. And again, I think it's going to be beneficiary of interest rate rises. That's why probably it's going up quite nicely. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's obviously early days. Today is the day of dogs. They're getting bought up today. What happens tomorrow over the next day, we just don't know. But today's the dog day. They're having a good run. So let's give them a bit of a breather and let them go up a little bit. But the big one stocks, I'm still definitely overriding thing for me, looking at the value, looking at stocks that maybe I can see doing quite well over the next 12 months, which is value and defensive type stuff. Even though I'm still looking at, some of the other, I suppose, good stories, growth stories, and I have a nibble here and there. But generally speaking, I am as patient as I can be and look towards a point in time where I think the market's going to turn, and we're going to see that, of course, on the charts with Dave, and we'll talk about it when the time comes. All right, so I think I've gone through enough announcements today and things that are actually happening right now. So let's see what happens tomorrow, because like I said, big day tomorrow with the interest rate announcement from RBA, expecting to go up. Let's see how much it goes up by. And from then on, we'll see how the market reacts to it all. Markets are closed in America overnight. So just be wary that there's going to be no trading overnight with, I think, July the 4th in America. So we're on our own. We'll see. We're probably going to follow maybe the Asian markets or something like this. But other than that, thanks very much, guys, and enjoy your day, and see you tomorrow. And just to let you know, tomorrow, again, I think Dave is away for another 3 days, so I'm going to be doing the Ask the Analyst by myself tomorrow. So join me. We should have a bit of fun. Cheers, guys. Enjoy.